Hey, what's good, people? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast episode 6 on the Koalition.com. And I'm here with Richard Bailey, who's actually on camera today. Wow, we're stepping it up, people. What's up, Rich?
What's up, listeners and viewers? Yeah, I wanted to switch it up today. I know I do not look as clean cut as Ghost, but I'm actually getting the cut. So, hey, I'll look different the next time you see me. But yeah, how's it going?
Going good, man. Maybe you should buy some suits like Ghost as well, so you can be, fresh to death, just like Ghost. But yeah, I mean that episode that aired was pretty interesting. I know for a fact that we have some very strong opinions on what just went down on that episode. But let
Yes.
me let me get straight into the recap. I'm going to try and get through it as quick as possible, just to bring everyone up to speed on what actually happened. So the episode started with Tommy sleeping in his car because he doesn't want to go back into the apartment because of what happened to Holly. So James, he wakes him up and then he encourages him to go inside the apartment. We see the task force planning Lobo's escort because they have to escort him to DC and everything. And then when we go back to Ghost and Tommy, they're plotting to kill Lobos. And Tommy actually mentions that Hugo, I think his name is, actually called him to be part of the crew that's gonna save Lobos basically and basically rescue him. So yeah, basically Tommy wants to use that situation as a way to get to Lobos. And Tash actually shows up, and um, Jamie doesn't want her involved, but Tommy encourages him to use Tasha because they might need her help. And then Jamie asks Karen if he could stay at a hotel because then that gives him an alibi because he can basically spin it that he was staying at her hotel for business so that he could understand the workings of the hotel and yada yada yada. And then Tasha actually lets slip to Ghost about Holly's baby because before that Jamie doesn't know, but he knows Holly is now dead. And in a conversation they're having, she actually lets slip about the baby, the fact that Holly was pregnant, and Tommy is outside of earshot, so he still doesn't know. Um, Jamie then goes home and he tells Angela that he's staying at the hotel for business purposes. He even goes as far as to invite her to come with him, but he knows that she won't be able to because, she's part of the task force that's going to be escorting Lobos effectively. So yeah, Tommy's planning Lobos's rescue with Hugo and the other guys that are part of the team. And then so then we go to a scene where Lobos is actually being escorted, and Greg is part of the crew that's escorting him. And basically, the Tommy's crew comes in, and then they rescue Lobos and get him out of there. And Greg gets shot in the process, and he's bleeding from the mouth and everything. I'll get to that later. Yeah, so Tommy drives. He's driving with Lobos in the back of the car, and there's one other guy in the passenger seat. But Tommy drives into a tunnel, which wasn't part of the plan, and then Ghost pops out and shoots the extra guy that was there. And yeah, basically they capture Lobos. And then Tasha's at the hotel. She's covering for Jamie. When people come to talk to Jamie, she's saying that he's in the shower, and she's texting Angela on his behalf just so, people think that Jamie is actually at the hotel. But during that whole process, she finds the separation documents. And then we see Greg return to the task force. This happens very fast, by the way. But yeah, he returns to the task force. He was wearing a vest, so his injuries aren't too serious. And he's actually informing the team that Lobo's capture must have been an inside job. And obviously, Sandoval is a bit he's a bit worried. He's panicking at this point. He's trying to make excuses and saying, no, it couldn't have been an inside job. and blah, blah, blah. But Greg actually suspects that it was Angela who was the leak. And then Jamie and Tommy are leading Lobos to his grave, and he's antagonizing them the whole way. You know, he's trying to play with their heads, basically. He manages to escape after, you know, his phone goes off, and you know, because they're a bit paranoid that, you know, once the phone goes off, it's going to give away their location with the satellites and everything. So they actually end up losing Lobos because he seizes the opportunity to run away. And later on, they find Lobos. They have a little scuffle, and then Jamie kills him, leaves the body there. They don't even bother digging a new grave for him. They just leave the body for the vultures. When Jamie gets back to the hotel, he ends up having an argument with Tasha about the separation and everything. It's actually revealed as well that Tariq ran away from his grandmother's house. So yeah, it's another issue they got to deal with later on. Tommy visits Holly's gravesite where she's actually buried, which might come back to haunt him, literally. Okay, and once back at the office, Jamie calls in his security, and he actually wants to, you know, fire his security team. But then they corner him, they take his weapon, and the security guy reveals himself as the Serb Milan. And yeah, in a very interesting scene, he then forces Jamie to start drug dealing on his behalf because they owe him money because, you know, he missed out on the shipment when the other guy, Vladimir, got killed last season. And basically the leverage that Milan has is that he knows everything about Jamie's family, the club, and everything. So he's using that now as leverage to force Jamie to deal drugs on his behalf. Jamie tells this whole thing to Tommy, and Tommy actually reminds him how much danger Angela is in at this point, and he suggests getting rid of Angela. And yeah, it's a very interesting scene. I preferred this scene between Tommy and Jamie to the next scene. And the next scene is actually Jamie coming back home to Angela, and he ends up breaking up with her. And yeah, I did find that the last kind of part of that interesting. Like it was very intense and emotional, you know, the crying and stuff like that. But yeah, I know we have some issues with everything before that point. So I'm going to go straight to Richard Bailey and, you know, get his thoughts on that episode. What do you think, Rich?
All right. Before I give my thoughts, I'd like to give a shout out to Nelly Mac 91. He made some excellent comments on the last video that we did. He has some very great ideas. You know, I wish that I will hope that the writers are looking at some of those ideas because, yeah, I definitely want to see some of that stuff happen. But let me go ahead and say this. I do have to give the writers credit this week. You know, as we discussed last week, they always come up with different ways to change the outcome completely so that you wouldn't even expect what's going to happen next. Now, I already knew that, you know, after these guys dealt with Lobos, they were going to have to deal with Kanan. I did not expect them to now introduce this other villain out of the blue. And it has made it quite interesting. Now, as for, you know, I do give them props for that. I do congratulate them on that. That was great. But I do have some criticisms. Where do I begin? Okay, first and foremost, obviously, I think that Ghost was very sloppy in this episode. The certain stuff that he did, it's like I'm thinking to myself, listen, man, because he's portrayed as being cold and calculating. Obviously, though, he does make mistakes. Like he didn't kill Kanan last season. He thought he did. That still is to be revealed. But he was sloppy in this episode for many reasons. First and foremost, you decide to leave those separation papers in your work, knowing that is potentially that Tasha was going to see them, and you know that wasn't a good move. And now, while it would appear in that episode like, okay, they've addressed it, they squashed it, you already know that there's nothing worse than a woman scorned. And I think that, you know, she may come back and do something to him later, because I was surprised that she didn't, you know, just revealed that, oh, well, this is actually not Jamie. This is me. When she was talking to Angela using his phone, I'm surprised that she didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, because that would have been like, okay, because you would have thought that she was going to take some type of action. I still think she can take action, but then when he said that, well, you now you're an accomplice to everything that we did, it's like that was dirty, man. That was dirty, But I still think she is eventually going to do something later on. I mean, you just never know. As for the Tommy situation, that's an unfortunate situation completely, because Tommy was not, he's still dealing with the situation. I was surprised that, they didn't, that, of course, as you said, they didn't tell her what happened with Holly. And I think that as the season goes on, Tasha's going to have a conversation with Tommy and maybe reveal to him that she was pregnant, because she doesn't know that she's dead. She may just say, well, you should talk to her, because after all, she is pregnant. That may send him over the edge after that, because he still doesn't know what. I mean, he doesn't know that information. So I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. But the other thing that I did not like, I'm going to save the best for last. We're almost there. About the episode, I think that Ghost was very sloppy in killing Lobos where he did. I was surprised the police didn't find the body yet. Maybe that's what happens next week. But I just kind of think, the plan to kill him and bury him, maybe that would have worked. But that just goes to show, they didn't really do a good job of making sure he didn't have a phone on him and all this other stuff. That wasn't really something that they figured, oh, well, not worried about it. But it was interesting to see that, because now, as you said, Greg does suspect that somebody is involved. Probably would never suspect that his boss is actually involved. But I can't wait to see how that, what the fallout is going to be from that, because that's a big deal. And you about to say something?
Oh no, I'll let you carry on. I'll say after.
Oh no, and I was just going to say this. Now, as far as there's one thing that I did not like about this episode, and this is something that I'm pretty sure people will have something to say in the comment section. I did not like Jamie's decision at the end to just break it off with Angela. Now, the thing about it is this. These people already know where he's at, of course, yes. But as in any typical, something that you would see in another movie or a TV show, it's a very cliche to just say, okay, well, I have to break up with her, and I'm not going to tell her nothing, because, but I have to break up with her to protect her. They already know where she's at. So even if he decided to do this, what would stop them from killing her anyway? Or using her later as, bait to get him, I mean, it's just like, he's already in too deep. They already know about her. They know about the family, so on and so forth. So I feel like, a lot of characters on this show, there's a lot of important things that you need to tell somebody, your significant other, the person you're supposed to love, and you just say, no, I'm going to keep it from them. I'm pretty sure if he would have told Angela what the situation is, they could have tried to find a resolution together. Obviously, though, that would have meant that he would have also had to tell her, well, I'm going back into the drug game. The reason why this guy is after me, because, I took out Lobos. So it's a very sticky situation. But I just think that the decision to just break it off just like that abruptly is just, I don't think that was a wise decision. And we already know that, she's going to find out eventually what the issue is, because you can't just break it off like that. This is somebody who you left your wife everything for, and then you just end it like that. Come on, bro. That doesn't make any kind of sense. But go ahead. You may speak now. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy sort of addressed that as well. Like when he was, getting into Jamie's head about Angela, he was saying, Tasha, you can tell her about, what's going on, and she'll be prepared. She'll have the gun on her or whatever. She'll prepare like for something to happen. But with Angela, she won't know what's going on, because he can't tell her, because they're criminals, basically. They're dealing drugs and all this stuff, so he can't actually tell her without her then using that in her day job or whatever. So because she won't be prepared, then that might leave her more vulnerable when the Serbs do come knocking and stuff. So I guess, that's what happened with that. But I do kind of agree, a little bit more honesty could have helped that situation a little bit, because Angela did actually show loyalty to Jamie previously, with the things she did to try and make him safe from Ruiz and Lobos. So, she might have helped him, you never know. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was touching at the end when, she was crying and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that whole scene, the whole, like, the way things progressed at the end of the episode seemed really rushed. Like, it seemed like everything was happening really fast at that point. Um,
Yeah.
and what I was going to say about Lobos as well, you're absolutely right. That was very sloppy the way they did it, because I don't understand why they couldn't have just killed Lobos like in the car or something, drove him to the grave, put him in there, and, like, that's it. Like, and then they can burn the car or whatever, like, to get rid of all the evidence. Like, I don't see the need to have to walk him that far just to, like, shoot him at his grave. Like, it made no sense. The only reason they did it was because it was entertaining, to see Lobos getting inside their head and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it made up for good entertainment, but it was very sloppy the way they handled that whole situation with Lobos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, it was sloppy. I was going to add one thing real quick to what you said about the previous point you made about Angela. Yeah, you make a very good point as well as to why he shouldn't tell her, because of course that you know she is of course on the other side of the law, so that's a bit of a conflict. However, though, in what you said about Tasha being prepared, Angela won't be prepared either. Now she definitely won't be prepared if they do come after her, because she doesn't know anything.
yep.
So that's why it's a dangerous situation, and eventually either he is going to have to tell her, or unless he is just going to make sure that he tries to protect her by coming after them at the same time they try to hit her. But that's the whole point. He should have made it known what's going on to some extent. Let her know, yes, they're trying to force me back in, and they're threatening they're threatening my family, you, everybody, because there could have been some type of resolution they could have came to. But now that you put it like this, I think it's almost a guarantee that they will come after her at some point. And that's going to be a problem later on in the season. But we'll see.
Yeah, and of course, I feel like Angela's gonna get back with Greg now, because
Well, that's it. Well, you know what? You just reminded me now. Yeah, man, I'm not a fan of that.
yeah.
Greg is, listen. Angela is attractive, but Greg has a problem. I mean, after he smashed that, it's like now he's just obsessed. So, and this guy, he's a great actor. Great actor. He plays a weirdo very well on the show. But that type of thing right there, I don't want to see that happen. Although now it looks like you are correct that is what's going to happen, because you did say on the last episode, yeah, they're probably going to cheat on each other, but technically now they're broken up, so they ain't together. So you'll probably see her end up back with him, and you'll probably see Ghost have something going on with Tasha. Because, as I said last week, we still ain't seen Tasha nude all season long. And you know that these people with power, they like to, man, these sex scenes getting a little ridiculous. So, you're going to see something.
Yeah, I mean, where's Ghost gonna go? I guess he's gonna stay on his own, because, like, I don't think Tasha would want him to stay at home right now after the separation thing. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess he's gonna be staying on his own again. But I could definitely see him going back to Tasha eventually, because I guess it just makes more sense when it comes to keeping the family safe and everything.
Well, yeah, I think once he tells her this, because he will tell her this, he has to tell her this information. Once he tells her this, that possibly may change things to some extent. It'll still be complicated, of course, but that's going to change things to some extent. Um, we'll have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and I had something. I was going to bring up one thing, but I think I should bring up something else first. So,
Okay.
Sandoval, he's obviously, do you feel like he's going to get caught out this season? Like, because now Lobos is dead, but so that kind of it eliminates that trace on him. But still, I think Greg might do some digging because he knows that there's a rat somewhere. Like,
Yeah,
because
I think that Greg is going to have this thing where he's going to keep thinking that Angela is the one that did it. And eventually there may be something that happens, that a bit of a red flag that lets him know that, maybe Sandoval is involved in this. I mean, I don't think, what I think will probably end up happening is that will be a resolution, maybe something you'll see on the season finale. They're going to try to drag it out a little bit further before they, maybe have that aha. Maybe that's something where they find out at the end of the season, yeah, he is behind this, and now they have to try to take him down or something to that effect. But I want this character to get caught now, because I mean, you supposed to be in charge. You turned your back on the police force, everything. So I want this guy to get what's coming to him at some point. We have to see how that pans out. But I would like to hope that, listen, I right now I still see Greg as a weirdo because of how he obsesses over Angela. So I would love to see the character, to transform into a character you want to root for by shifting his focus towards taking down the real threat. But we'll have to see what happens that's going to make them suspect that he's behind it.
I still want my scene of Jamie beating the shit out of Greg. Like I just want that to happen. Like I want them to have a
Oh
fight.
man. Well, hey, I think now that he got shot, that definitely won't happen. Because he can't unless they do something where they speed up time, with the episodes, and then he's healed up, and then he has that confrontation. But I don't know if he's going to have a confrontation with this guy now because he's all messed up from getting shot. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. So I mean, I was gonna bring up something else that didn't really happen in this episode, but was there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I thought it was very interesting that they did not in any way focus on Dre or
Yeah,
uh,
that's exactly what I
Kane.
was gonna bring up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like they're holding that off for a later time. They know that this is a major thing that is going to go down, but they purposely decided to not show anything about that. So now you're wondering, well, what's going on with these two characters?
Yeah, because like when when Milan cornered Jamie in his office, my exact thought was, okay, Dre's gonna come in. Like, but he was completely missing, and Kanan wasn't shown at all. So, like, what do you think's gonna happen with these characters? Like, where's Kanan gonna fit into the story now? Because now things have completely shifted to where, um, Jamie's back in the drug game. He's back in the drug business. So, like, where's Kanan gonna fit into this now? Like, what's his plan gonna be?
Well, that's a good question. I think that Kanan, once he finds out who the supplier is, maybe he may try to get close to this guy, Milan, and see, maybe he may try to work with him to get Jamie out of there or to basically kill Jamie. Because, I mean, if Jamie's out the game after he has served his purpose, he can very easily pitch to Milan, well, I could be the guy to take over this business. I was the one that started Ghost doing this stuff. So I would be better at this job than him. So I don't know how that interaction is going to happen, but it is definitely going to happen. As for Dre, we said a couple of weeks ago, he is a character that now he is in the middle of this conflict on both sides because he told Ghost that, oh, he would protect him no matter what, and you saw the loyalty was there at the beginning of the season. Now, fast forward to his interaction with Kanan, and he said that he will do what he needs to do because, of course, Kanan had his daughter at the time, so he didn't have a choice. But obviously now it's going to be a situation where he's going to have to make a decision. because he ain't gonna be able to play both sides. You know, if he does help Ghost, great, but now he'll be involved in all of this mess with these other guys. And then if he helps Kanan, that's good too. But that would also become a problem because these Serbs need Ghost to be working. So they can't afford for anything to happen to him either. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic because it's a lot of things that are involved. But Dre is definitely going to have to make a decision as to which side he's going to go with. There's no doubt about it. He can't be in between with this. So
yeah, I mean, like Jamie's gonna have to be doing a lot of politicking in the streets now because now he's got to move all this product again. So he's gonna have to assemble a team. So you know that means he's gonna have to coordinate something with Dre. And as soon as he starts to do that, that's gonna open him up to, you know, attack from Kanan because, you know, now Kanan is using Dre. So yeah, and I want to address something funny as well because I saw people on Twitter last week after that scene with Dre coming home and finding Kanan, like people were saying, "Oh, so the kid was at home by herself."
That's a good question. Yeah. You know, somebody else did ask that. Yeah. I believe. Shout out to Bess. I think he also asked me that question. Why was the kid at home? See, these are the little things that you don't really pay attention until you've watched you've seen the show a couple more times, and then you see, well, there's little things here or there that weren't really fully explained by the writers. Like, let's go back to what happened with Harley weeks ago, where she just magically decided, oh, the Jamaicans are the ones I need to talk to. So she just went to a nearby Jamaican restaurant. I guess a lot of Jamaican restaurants in New York City, you just go there, you can order a hit. Because they didn't explain any of that to really show you how she found out exactly which place to go. And then they kill her the week afterwards. So they don't have to explain that. But I just think some stuff you see a little bit of in the writing is like, okay, they'd be reaching with some stuff.
No, but to be fair, like I think I recall Kanan saying something like, I told her mom I'll look after her or something like that. So I'm thinking maybe he introduced himself as Dre's friend and said he'll look after the kid. I don't know, but even that is a bit of a reach because who would leave their child with someone they don't know? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. That would make any kind of sense. And if that was a friend or a girlfriend, that they shouldn't be a friend after this episode. Man, how the hell are you gonna unless they've met Kanan before and they know Kanan, but if they haven't met him before, why the hell would they just give him say, oh yeah, you can watch her? That would make no kind of sense. That makes no kind of sense. But that's a very good observation. Because a lot of people, maybe that'll be explained at some point down the road, but it definitely probably not because it is what it is.
Yeah, that was hilarious. With regards to Tommy and visiting Holly's grave, do you think this might be something that comes back to haunt him? Because if the task force gets investigating Tommy again, because remember, there's still some people who think Tommy is Ghost. So they might start following him around. And then, he might lead them right to where Holly is buried. And, they might dig up the body and trace it back to him. So
you know what? Yes. That ring. Leaving that ring, you may think, well, he's coping, he's in mourning, it's a sad time, but his fingerprints are all over that ring, and obviously, now that you have that situation introduced, they could link that to him as being maybe he was involved in this, but I don't know if they when they buried her, I don't know, did they just straight up bury her? They didn't burn her or nothing like that. So I would think that there's still going to be some way that could be traced back to him. Well, the ring definitely could be traced back. So, I don't know, man. I mean, it's unfortunate to see Tommy in this particular state of mind because the character has been struggling since the season started, trying to control. He had a couple of ups and downs where he was the guy that was in control. So it's kind of like you want to see this character triumph over everything and get better, but he has not had a good season thus far. A lot of bad things happen. So I will hope that it doesn't end with him getting arrested. But hey, listen, something is going to happen because there's still a lot to be taken care of. And then, of course, the other thing, this is probably something else you might want to bring up, the fact that there is going to be some retaliation for Lobos getting killed. And that, to me, is that could come as the season finale as well. Because just because they have you think now, well, now they have this new adversary to worry about, I would have to think that there are some people that you still have to deal with. Now, if you take, for example, his bodyguard, that guy is, that guy who came to Tommy and threatened him to kill the dog, stuff like that.
Hugo.
That guy is, Hugo, that's his name. He's still out there. And I have to think that once it's known that this guy is dead, there has to be some type of retaliation from his people or something. I mean, I would have to think that. I don't know if I'm accurate on that. But if there is going to be some retaliation, that won't be good for, for Ghost Tommy or anyone else that's involved.
Yeah, I mean, he might even go to Sandoval and put pressure on him to find out who killed Lobos or something like that. So
yeah, I could definitely see that. But one thing I do know is that he definitely is going to confront Tommy soon because he knows that Tommy.
Yeah, he knows. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's definitely going to confront Tommy soon. I don't know how he's going to deal with that situation. That's going to be interesting because it's just that there's too many connected pieces. And they know where Tommy lives. They know all this other stuff. So that'll be very interesting to see how that situation is dealt with.
For sure.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like, usually I can try and make predictions about what's going to happen next and, what's going to happen in the future. But after that episode we just had, like, it's just like I'm not even going to bother making predictions now because it's like things change so much, like, every episode. So it's like I don't even know what direction it's going in anymore. But yeah, in terms of rating that episode, unless you had something else to say about the episode.
Oh no, I think we covered pretty much every topic, every main topic anyway.
Okay.
Episode.
Yeah, so in terms of the rating for this episode, what would you rate it?
Well, there was a lot of things that took place in this episode. We got to see the end of Lobos, but there's some sloppy behavior by Ghost. To be honest, man, that ending though, and that ending resolution, for that alone, I have to give this episode maybe 3 stars out of 5 because to me, it's like that is too cliche for it to be that way, where you just say, well, I can't tell her the truth, so I got to break it off. That right there is a very cliche way of getting out of the situation, and I didn't like how they handled that. But needless to say, the writers, I do believe that there's going to be reasoning for this. I have to believe that there is going to be some reasoning for it, but I didn't like how that was handled, so I have to say 3. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the same. I think I'm gonna do 3 as well because yeah, I mean, I love the show. The show is great. The writing is spectacular still, but there are instances where the writing is a little bit lazy or convenient. Like for instance, at the end of season 2, when Ghost and Kanan have their confrontation, and he stabs Kanan with the glass, and then he lights the place on fire and walks out. Like, if you really wanted to get rid of that dude, you would have shot him in the head, like when he was on the floor.
Well,
and it's the same thing with Lobos and everything that happened in this episode. Like, sometimes the writing is just too lazy and convenient.
Well, what? Let me just say something. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to add one thing to what you said. You are 100% correct, and that was especially lazy because the scene prior to that, all you see is Ghost killing everybody that was connected to the operation. So it's like, but you couldn't make sure that this guy was taken out of the picture. Yeah, it doesn't make any kind of sense.
Yeah, and they tried to depict Ghost as this calculating person, like you said before, and he makes all these mistakes, so it just kind of makes the writing seem just lazy a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that really came across in this episode in particular, which is why I'm going with the lower rating. But I still enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed the episode, and the final scene with Angela was touching because I'm a big Angela fan. So, like, you know, it was touching for me.
I'll just say this: that final scene is touching, but also for anybody, if you like, you like women, or you have a girlfriend that you care about, you don't not like to have them crying. That will make you sad. And I know they had the little scene where he started to break down. You saw that. Some people will look at that, the dude starting to cry and laugh. I mean, I felt tempted to laugh, but it's just the way Angela with the crying. It's just you don't want to see that. It's unfortunate. You don't want her to stop crying. And of course, what the writers did do good is that you really sense that these two people love each other, which is all the more reason why I didn't like the fact that they are not open about shit. They wait until stuff gets goes too far, and then it's like, well, that's it. But the fact that the lack of communication, that tells me that, if you love somebody, you're going to communicate. And regardless of whether or not you hurt them or not, you have to be willing to communicate this stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, I really did like that scene where he was, outside the door trying to compose himself and stuff, like, because that really told the story of like how he feels and stuff. Like he actually loves Angela, but he's, if he goes back to Tasha, it will be a strategic move, basically. Like, but his heart is with Angela, but his head is with Tasha. Like, I think that scene kind of, told the story right there. So, yeah, but yeah, man. Hopefully, they knock us out the park with next week's episode, and it's spectacular, because there's all sorts of directions they can go in from here. So I'm interested to see what they're gonna, come with next.
Absolutely.
There's a Labor Day coming up, I think. When is that?
Yeah, that's in September. That's right around, and I know that there's going to be a break for episodes. There's going to be, I think, about 2 weeks where people will not be watching Power because it will not be on. I mean, they'll have a marathon on around that time for people to get caught up, but they're going to take a short hiatus. That's around the first week of September. Yeah.
Okay, so that would be in about 2 weeks or so, I think. So yeah, so we still got another episode next week. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. So yeah, from us, that's it until next week. Shouts to everyone who left comments, and
Absolutely.
please leave your comments again and let us know how you feel about this episode in particular, because I'm very interested to see what other people think. So
Absolutely.
yeah, any final words, Rich?
Oh no, just I want to thank you, Stars, again for allowing us to watch the episode, to give our constructive criticism on it, and we thank everybody again for the comments. Please do feel free to comment. Let us know what you think is going to happen, as well as your thoughts on this particular episode, and whether or not you think that we are wrong in some of the criticisms we have as well. I will be open to hearing what people think about that also. So, but no, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, thanks for listening, people. Drop by the site, thekoalition.com, for some more interesting content, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.